If you've ever opened Canva AI, typed something quick like create me an Instagram post and then waited while it gave you something painfully generic, so you tried again and again until your AI usage was basically gone, this video is for you because today I'm going to show you how the Canva AI credit system works so you stop burning through it, the simple prompt structure I use to get better results, and then how to use it for full Canva designs, AI images, AI video, and Canva Code so you get something usable much quicker. I'm Natalia and I help creators like you turn content to income, freedom, and a brand you're proud of, so let's do this. Now let me get this first part out quickly because you have to understand how the Canva AI credit system works, and once you do, I think you'll just naturally start being more careful with how you use Canva AI and also how you prompt. Now I want you to imagine your AI allowance as one bucket. So your Canva plan gives you one of these buckets every month, and almost everything you do with AI goes and pours something into it, but not every pour is the same size. So Canva AI tools are divided into 3 tiers, so standard, premium, and ultra, and they all share that one same bucket, and this is your monthly allowance. They're just different sized cups filling it. So standard tools use the smallest cup, so things like magic formulas may eat up just a tiny bit of your allowance. And to give you an idea, if you have Pro and would only use the standard tools and not any others, you'd get up to 2,000 uses a month, so a pretty good chunk. Then we have premium tools. These are your medium cup, and this is where most of your everyday AI design work is. So your Dreamlab images, maybe magic design, magic charts, Canva Code, things like that. And you may get a few hundred of these depending on your plan. Now, to keep Pro as an example, if you only use premium AI tools, you'd get 200 uses per month. And then we have Ultra tools. These are the biggest cup by far, of course, and this is your most advanced AI, so your full conversational AI 2.0, so Canva AI 2.0. So this is designing and your AI video generation. And because they are so advanced, you'd only get a limited amount of uses of them per month. For Canva Pro, this would be 20 uses, again, if you only used Ultra. So the simple version is this: the more advanced and the more powerful the tool, the faster your one bucket fills up, which is exactly why someone can use Canva AI happily for weeks, doing like standard tasks, chat into it, and then generate an AI video in one afternoon and suddenly hit their limit. Now there's some good news in here as well, because not everything you use actually counts towards that bucket at all. Canva actually has almost like a separate category called AI design tools, and things like Magic Write, so things for your captions and copy, and maybe photo and video animations for adding movement to your designs. These actually are not counted towards your AI allowance completely, so you can lean on those as much as you like without eating into that bucket at all. Now, one more thing worth knowing, because it explains why your bucket can sometimes fill much faster than you expect, again, even on tools you have used before, is that usage really depends on a few factors. So Canva looks at things like how complex your request is, maybe which specific tool and then level you have chosen, and even how many reference images or instructions you have given it. So a simple one-line prompt and then a detailed like multi-step one with a 30-page PDF attached can use vastly different amounts of your allowance, even though you kind of technically use the same feature. This is one more reason why being super clear and specific with your prompts really matters so much. Now, the good news is you don't have to guess where your bucket is, because Canva actually introduced a usage tracker, so you can just go to your settings, then choose billing, and you'll see exactly how much allowance you have left for this month. And if you're on a free plan and you then keep hitting that limit before the month is over, this is usually the sign that you may have outgrown it. So I'll pop a link below for a free 30-day Canva Pro trial, which will give you much bigger bucket to work with. You can test it out, no strings attached, for $0. And quickly, your allowance also resets on the 1st of each month at midnight UTC, so this is the time zone. And if you're on paid or non-profit subscription, it actually resets on your billing day. So everything I show you from here is about making each of those generations count so that you're not really wasting them on a prompt that was not really going to work in the first place. Plus, I want to quickly also address the $100 a month thing that people are calling a new plan. This is not a new Canva plan or how much you have to pay now with Pro to get Canva AI 2.0. This is actually an add-on that you can choose to add on top of your account to top up to full AI allowance once you run out of your credits. So it's definitely not a necessity and definitely not a change to pricing. Okay, let's move on to prompting and how you can make it better to squeeze as much as you can from every generation. Now, you have to give the tool enough context, and your prompt is the key to giving Canva that crucial information. So whenever I write a new prompt, I run through a little context checklist in my head. So the 4 things that Canva needs to know before it can give you something good. So first, what you are making and who it's for. So let's work off of an example. You may need an Instagram carousel for busy moms, or maybe like a flyer for local homeowners. And it's really worth being very specific here, because this will make sure that the results you get are actually tailored to that audience at the end. Second, we then have what it needs to do. So whether it's meant to like drive signups, maybe explain a service in detail, maybe educate on a new feature, get people into your shop this weekend, we need a very, very clear purpose, because that acts as a clear guideline for AI. Then third, we have to tell it more about the layout itself. So if you're maybe creating a carousel, how many slides, which one is the hook, how the information is ordered, etc. And then 4, how it should look and feel. So maybe your colors, your mood, your brand vibe, things like that. And apart from this checklist, there is one more thing that I always add. And for me, this is the most important of all of it, which is my own input. Once I give Canva info on, again, what I'm making, how it should look, I also then add my actual context. So my real talking points, my own ideas, the specific things that I want to say, maybe like experiences I want to share, because I do not want Canva inventing what my business is about, coming up with stories, filling the gaps that I actually should be filling with my own knowledge and expertise, or, have a guess what matters to my audience. I wanted taking my thinking and putting it into a design. And this is such an important part. I actually think it's crucial, because this is what makes your content yours, and what keeps the content sounding like you instead of the same recycled wording that everyone else is posting. Now, I'm so tired of seeing the same stuff online, and I will not be the one contributing to the problem. And of course, this extra context, your input, matters the most when there are like real words, when there are experiences or stories or knowledge involved. So things like captions, maybe blog posts, scripts, documents, even code for quizzes and questionnaires. You won't need to add this when you're generating an image, for example, but this context really matters. So let's go ahead and compare. Now, a weak prompt could look something like this. So create an Instagram post about my new meal plan. And then when you plug it into Canva AI, it literally has almost nothing to go on. So it will most likely give you something generic like this. You'll then have to like build on it, reprompt, and it's going to keep eating away at your allowance, at your credit. So let's try something that gives you much more direction. So let's try something like this, create a minimalistic Instagram carousel. So I'm explaining actually all the different details. You can actually pause or grab my free resource to check the whole prompt and test it yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and submit it now. Okay, so this is what we've got in here. I really love this one that it gave me. And you can see that, again, because I didn't just tell Canva, again, what I'm making, who it's for, what it should do, I actually added my own talking points for each slide. So this is actually working off of my own ideas. It's picking a nice design. Again, could it be kind of more visual and could it be a little bit better? Yes, of course it could, but this is a great first draft, and it's so much more tailored than the first ones that we got, right? So let me click on it just to see it. But again, this is working off of my ideas in a nice design rather than just trying to make up its own version of that meal plan or what this like meal plan post should say. And this is, I feel like, the whole game. Because you gave Canva everything up front, you get something closer to right on the very first try. And then of course, you're not like pouring all the different cups that I told you into the bucket of your allowance by fixing a weak prompt over and over. We're going to run through the same checklist for everything else from now on, so we'll keep going. However, I just wanted to show you that this is what we got instead of this like very generic stuff that we had with a very basic prompt. Now, what makes the newest version of Canva AI so different from the older one is that it's properly conversational now. So we're not just asking a single prompt, crossing your fingers and hoping it actually comes out right, and then editing further yourself. With Canva AI 2.0, so you can have an actual back and forth with it and refine as you go. And this is the biggest update we got. By the way, if you want to learn more about it, and make sure to watch this video next in here. So again, with Canva AI 2.0, with this conversational design, every one of those tweaks that we're asking for happens inside the same conversation. So we're slowly building on what we already have, and we're asking Canva to then refine it for us. So maybe in here, I could say something like, make the headline bigger. So let's try it. Make that headline bigger. And I just press generate, and that's going to give me a better headline, hopefully. Okay, cool. This is now bigger. Now, what I could do as well is to have it be more kind of contrasting from the background, because there's not much accessibility in here. So I'm saying make the text more visible by making the image in the background a little darker. So let's see what it does. And again, you can see that Canva AI is then going to kind of tweak it for me. You can see that it's working on it. You can see that it's thinking first. And of course, then sending the agent to actually perform those design tasks that we would otherwise have to perform ourselves. And if we're not that familiar with Canva as an environment, we may not even know where to go. However, Canva AI understands it, and it can go and do it for us. Okay, perfect. So you can see that it actually completed it with errors, but actually gave me the result that I wanted. So instead of like decreasing the darkness, which I think it just wanted to, again, decrease the brightness to make it a little darker, it actually added this dark overlay shape behind to improve this visibility in here. Canva can now actually give you a usable starting point built from your unique ideas. And if there's something not right, we don't actually have to start over and generate a brand new one, hoping for the best. We can actually continue talking to Canva AI, trying to refine it, giving it further instructions as well. So I can say, make the headline bigger. I can then swap in my brand colors. I can literally just give a hex code here. Then I can ask it to give me like 3 call to action options for the last slide. So with Canva AI 2.0, with this conversational design, every one of those tweaks you're asking for inside the same conversation. So you're slowly building on what you already have and then asking Canva to refine it for you. Something to help you with saving credits is to ask Canva to pull from your brand kit, which will take you closer to what your design should look like without too many corrections then. All right, let's look at the AI images. And I found that people often waste a lot of credits here because the prompt is not detailed enough. And again, this is where your own input doesn't really matter as much beyond the basics, because of course we'll be describing a look we want, not really like feeding Canva a message. So we can just rely on the checklist. I also love to add the word photorealistic here, because my style of images is as close to reality as possible. So this is always what I'll be looking for. But of course, if you want like more of a cartoon style or more fantasy-like images, this is definitely not going to apply to you, but this is just my tip if you want something more organic and natural. Okay, so let's start with a simple prompt that I've seen people use before. It's almost like you'd search this in the Elements tab, woman creator working on a laptop. And again, let's face it, this could mean 1,000 different things. I'm going to go ahead and select image in here, and I'm just going to submit. So again, what do we have in here? That's okay, but vastly different results, nothing very concrete. So what I would actually use if I wanted something a lot more concrete than this is to use a more detailed prompt. Now I'll try with Canva AI in here again, but I want to show you what it would look like when I use a different tool. Just a moment. And like while it generates, listen, is this like a super detailed prompt? Of course not, but I want to actually show you how much more tailored you can get with your results if you only decide to include more of that crucial context. So this prompt actually informed Canva of like the composition, the lighting, the mood, the tone. So you can see that the result in here is much more usable than what we had before, especially when you have something very specific in mind. Now, what I found is that I actually got the best results by using image generation inside of the editor with Canva 2.0. So let me show you this within the editor. So again, I select an image from the template, or that was a generation. I don't remember specifically, but I'll jump to Canva AI and I'll actually use the exact same prompt. So I selected an image. I want an image to be placed in here. Okay, cool. So I have something like this. You can see that it's kind of very tailored. I feel for me, it looks pretty natural. Now, the other way to use it is to actually jump to Dreamlab. And this is where I've also found good results. Now, Now, this is the prompt I've had before. I've actually tested this stuff out before, of course, and I have a women creator working on laptop, and you can see again how vastly different the results are just because Canva AI cannot really kind of imagine what you have in your head. So again, you have these more kind of illustrative images, you have something a little bit more natural, you have vastly different results. Now I'm going to go ahead and create the same prompt in here. And again, this is what I've got. So again, much more tailored in terms of the effects that I've got in here. You have variety. Again, I could specify, this is what I've said, that this is not the most detailed prompt. I could actually specify what hairstyle, what type of a person I want in there. So this could be a little bit more in that regard. However, this is the result that I've got. And again, this would work with my design so much better than something that I would have in here. And out of those, I can choose something kind of better from the 4 generations than I would from here, where maybe what I imagined was only one of those, right? So this is the important part. And also, please do utilize the style in here and also the aspect ratio, because I've not actually specified it for this one, but probably for a post of that nature that I've had before, I would want something vertical, so you can specify it from here as well. And again, if you want a specific style, you can also specify it from there. And that again gives more clarity at the point of prompting. So that means that you're going to get better results faster without burning through so many credits. The credit smart habit is always to describe the framing, describe the lighting properly the first time, so you're not then tweaking and again regenerating just to fix those details. Next up, we have video generation, and I really want to be very, very honest with you about video because this is the most expensive one of them all. It's across different models. I'm not even talking about Canva AI specifically. Across the board, of course, video is so complex that this is the most kind of power that's being used. So it eats through your allowance so much faster than anything else, and it's the one that you really want to get as close to as possible before you click generate. Now, I've shared a very useful prompt structure in this video here, so make sure you watch it next. But to keep it all useful and concise in here too, it's actually called Cascade, and it comes from Tianyu Su. So C is for camera, where you specify the shot type, angle, and style. Then A is for ambience with lighting or time of day. Then S for subject, so who or what the character or object is. Then C for context with details about the background or location. A for action and motion, of course, and D for dialogue or script, and finally E for emotion. So the reason why this is so much more complex is because we were trying to get all the different components of that video right the first time. Let's try this one in here. Again, I don't want to burn through credits. I don't want to unnecessarily use AI if I'm not giving it enough details. So this is what I'm going to use. A coastal train station at sunset. Platforms mostly empty. Lighting golden and nostalgic. A man and a woman stand behind. So you can see that I'm actually describing all the scenes, all the different details. I'm describing the emotions. I'm describing the camera angles as well. So between medium over the head shot, as they speak, without eye contact, things like that. So I'm going to then click video clip, and I don't want to stop at this point. I also want to, again, choose the AI quality. This is the kind of the ultra one, the premium one. So I'm going to go for ultra, maybe. Let's burn through some credits a little bit better. From here, the styles, again, you can go for cinematic, photorealistic. You have so many different options. I'll go for maybe cinematic for this one. And then again, the default in here is the 16:9. We still don't have the vertical resolution in here. And then I could choose the audio. I will add audio for this one because this is what I asked for. Maybe there's going to be some dialogue in here. And then I'm going to go for the framing. Now, I've actually specified medium over the shoulder shot. This is actually kind of in between those two. I think the over the shoulder shot is maybe less important than the medium shot. So I'm going to go for this one in here. And then lighting as well. Soft light, hard light, dark light. This is all very, very important because once you specify it, you're giving the tool so much more to work for. So let's plug this in and see how it goes. Okay, is it AI? Of course it's AI, right? This is what the tools are. However, it gave me everything that I asked for, right? So you've got the kind of the medium shot, not necessarily over the shoulder because I've not necessarily specified it. This is the nature of the prompts that sometimes if they're more complex, certain things will be omitted, but I still find that if you add a lot of detail, it's going to understand you better, if that makes sense. So even if certain parts are not included, it still gives you a better picture for the specific image. So still, it gave the emotional impact in here. It still gave the lighting, the golden nostalgic feel in here. It still has this like train arriving behind them. This is all kind of in there. So this is how you're prompting to make the result better as fast as you can. Now, could I then go back to Canva AI in here and start re-editing it? Of course I could. I could add more details. I can change and tweak certain things. However, this is what I got as the first generation. And I still feel like this is a much better option than giving it a very, very simple prompt and then just burning through credits that way. Now, this last one is one of the most fun things you can do in Canva, and it's brilliant for service-based business owners especially. Now, with Canva Code, you can generate little interactive tools and apps like calculators and quizzes, and this is the place like with your written content where I find that your own input matters so much because the AI really needs to know exactly what you want. So a vague prompt here is not going to get you somewhere quickly, right? So rather than making me a pricing calculator for my photography business, which again gives AI almost nothing to work with, you would describe the behavior clearly. So let's jump into code and let's go ahead for make me a pricing calculator for a photography business. You should definitely describe the prompt in so much more detail. There should be a clear behavior kind of described in this code experience. However, let's see what it gives us. So again, I've not specified anything in detail. You can see that actually Canva gave me a heads up to say that it used premium AI because Ultra is available for photos and videos. So it actually understood that it should include some photos, which again, without specifying, it would not necessarily know. And then in here, you can see that it's very dark. It's golden. You've got the shooting hours in here. You have wedding, portrait, and commercial, even though I said photography business. Yeah, fair enough. It's not a specific photography business, so we don't know exactly what. You've got the different add-ons like professional editing, premium print collection, rush delivery, second photographer, things like that. So you can see that it actually tried to find something, which again is kind of good enough if that makes sense. However, if you want to make it on brand, if you want to make something a little bit more custom and specific, you need to use better prompts. Let's try a different one. Okay, I'm going all in here just because I wanted to specify a lot more details in that regard. So you can see that I have like the heading, I've got the short line underneath, I have all the different details in terms of like the pricing in here. And then I'm acting like I'm actually describing the behavior. And then, small line of reassurance, finish button, all of those different details in here. We have like specificity when it comes to the style. So like rounded corners, toggles, buttons, things like that. So let's see how it does with such a detailed prompt. And again, because you spelled out exactly how it should behave and how it should look, you hopefully should get something much, much closer on the first try to what you need without the need to, again, re-prompt and use those credits up. So hopefully we get something a little better on this occasion. And again, I forgot to mention for something like this, I was definitely like add a brand kit in here. I don't have a brand kit that's specifically working for this like wedding photography style or maybe this kind of beige and light blue stuff. However, it does work for this one. So again, I have my instant quote. I have my second line. I have hours of coverage. I have the season to choose in here. So you can see that this changes based on that. And this is my estimate in here. Get my full quote. So this is great because I can then connect the experience more in it in just a moment. However, the same goes for things if we were like building a quiz maybe where I could, make the effort to actually give Canva the actual questions, the actual answers rather than just like letting Canva AI invent them, if that makes sense. So I feel like in those cases, the results are much more yours. And of course, by all means, go ahead and consult with it. Try to come up with some more like engaging questions, but please do add your own first two. Now, again, I could go back in here. I could ask it to like add an image maybe. I could ask it to tweak the hex codes maybe. Anything I like, I can actually go ahead and make it work. But again, this is what is important, that you're giving it so much more details. And you can see that even in terms of like the pricing, it's so specific in terms of the pricing just because I gave it like a 15% increase for peak season and stuff like that. So much more details in terms of the behavior in here. Now, the best part is that Canva Code can actually capture what real people enter straight into a sheet. So I could like prompt it then to maybe say, get my full quote afterwards, and that would like turn into a questionnaire. And then from here, I would be able to then connect it to a sheet. But of course, this is like an experience that's more interactive in terms of the calculator. So it doesn't actually give me that option. But once I added this by reprompting, it will actually give me this option. So this is great because this tool can literally be like a lead capture for your business, which is so great, super cool. I actually love the code experiences in Canva. Now, as a quick side note, I've also prepared a little resource for you that you can download for free with all the different prompts and tips. So go ahead and grab them from the link down below. I'd really love to know which Canva AI tool you use the most and which one you've been curious about but not tried yet. So let me know down in the comments. And I want to make sure I also create more tailored content for you that would actually be useful for your workflows. And if you want to see all of this in action with the very latest features Canva's rolled out, go and watch my Canva Create Updates video right here, because there's been so much announced and you should know about how it can help your business and your content. Now, if this helped you, make sure you subscribe and give this one a like. And don't forget that free 30-day Canva Pro trial waiting for you in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.